कायनात पे एक लम्हे का गौर आबिद की 70 साल की इबादत से ज्यादा वैल्यू रखता है। ये हदीस सुना रहा हूं आपको। We chose not to go into the real knowledge because that takes effort. And if I don't know anything and I'm supposed to be the hero of the room, I'm going to make sure we don't talk about that, whatever I don't know. Because I'm not going to become a hero, remain a hero anymore. You understand me?
Yeah.
That's why Muslim scholarship took away the science, because they didn't go into the science. And I'll tell you, Iman, Ali bin Abi Talib, his son, Jafar Sadiq, say it, Jafar Sadiq. You know what he did? He invented chemistry. All the chemistry in the world, that guy gave it to us. Yeah. So Muslims were there. Muslims started astronomy, plotted all the laws of astronomy. Right now, all the astronomers right now, you know what they're saying? If it were not for because of you Muslims, we wouldn't have started the big game. Muslims laid out the laws of astronomy before anyone. In England, they couldn't even pronounce the word astronomy. Yeah, at that time in England, nobody knew what astronomy is. Muslims were talking and writing down astronomy. You know the biggest award for mathematics is? What's it called? You know the Nobel Prize? Heard the Nobel Prize? You've heard the word Nobel Prize? Yeah, you should. Come on, don't scare me. Just like a Nobel Prize, because Nobel Prize is not for mathematics. The Nobel Prize of mathematics is called a Fields Medal. What's it called? A Fields Medal. F-I-E-L-D, Fields Medal. Okay? That's the smartest man in the world, Fields Medal. Do you know when you take a Fields Medal and you give it to somebody, that person, whoever takes the Fields Medal, he has to take a picture in front of the camera with another picture in the background. You know that guy's picture? Who know that guy is? He's a Muslim. He's the father of mathematics. Who started mathematics? Al-Khwarizmi. Okay?
Yeah.
So mathematics was started by Muslims. Between all of that guy and my daddy came a lot of other guys who did not know mathematics. So they were like, let's not talk about mathematics, especially when you're a Muslim. Okay? There is a problem in the pre-basic stage of understanding Islam. In England, if you guys are not talking about it, that's a problem. In Pakistan, if I am talking about it, becomes a problem. But you guys came to England because of the mathematics of English, the physics of the science that these guys had actually, progressed in. Everything that happened in physics came from England. In the last 700-800 years, everything that happened to mathematics came from England. That's why your mommy brought you to England. But you said, no, you know what? I just want to do anything but study. That's why I need you to gift the Quran to the English immigrant Muslim. Gift it, okay? So understand, when you give your child to a Islamic scholar, tell them, the kids, that learn whatever he has to give, and then learn mathematics and physics on your own and teach that Islamic scholar the science of it. That's your job, kids. That's our job. You need to understand, otherwise, so many verses. Let me show you. This is just a little surface we scratch. These verses can't even be explained other than the current definitions of science. All of these verses in the Quran, you can't even explain them.
So I have a question. So when you said how the earth and every heaven has life, so does that also mean that all the planets have life, or just some planets?
Some planets, like in our solar system, not all the planets have life. Okay, they could. I don't know. We don't know that. The Voyagers, the probes that they sent, they didn't go to land on the surface of any planet except Mars, right? And right now, they just don't know if Mars had life, but there is sign of life in Mars because there are ruins. Now, I'm not going to say, there were human beings there. What I'm saying is, we do not know. Right now, there's so many planets being discovered. 400 billion stars in just our galaxy. So there got to be some planet which has life, okay? And some planet which has life could be that they started their life way before than ours. So they're very smarter than us, okay? In the Quran, Allah Ta'ala has already told us that there is life between. I just told you, in the verse of the Quran. But yeah, there is life. There is other creation.
And then at the Day of Judgment, would they be tested as well, or would it be
every kullu nafsin fi zaikatil maut? Kullu nafsin. Allah in the Quran says kullu nafsin. Okay, kullu nafsin means anything that Allah has created which has life will die. And on the Day of Judgment, Allah is going to stand alone. And then He's going to say, is there anything else alive other than me? Okay? And then He's going to recreate all of that life. Okay? So any and everything other than Allah is mortal, right? They're supposed to die. That's the claim, so that we can understand that, we shouldn't be arrogant. We're just mortals. Now, all of them will die and then be resurrected. But, to answer your question, Surah Anbiya, okay? In Surah Anbiya, Allah says that it is incumbent upon us, Allah Azza wa Jalla talking about Himself, that we are going to call in the day of judgment and roll this, what? Roll the first heaven like a scroll. First heaven only. There's 7, okay? There's 7 heavens, right? 7 heavens. Khalaqa sab'a means 7, right? But Allah in Surah Anbiya says, I'm going to roll the first heaven only, okay? First heaven. And that's in the Quran. So only, we can be argued. We do not know, only Allah knows. That only the planets and all the creation is in the first heaven will go through that day of judgment that we're going to, okay? We do not know anything else. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, but we definitely will, okay? Secondly, in the Quran, Allah says, يَوْمَ تَبَدَّلُ الْأَرْضَ غَيْرُ الْأَرْضِ. On that day, تَبَدَّلُ الْأَرْض. We are going to change this planetary thing and replace it with a totally different planetary thing. We do not know what that is. يَوْمَ تَبَدَّلُ الْأَرْض. Yawma, on that day. Tabaddal means to, in Urdu we use the same tabdil, right? You're going to change it. Tabaddal al-ard, on this whole terrestrial plane will not be there. Ghairul ard means something else other than this planet. Okay? Now, as human beings, this is the first time I'm saying it on camera, so better understand that. We as Muslims believe in the alien life form. And the biggest evidence of aliens is, as a Muslim, no, that's not the biggest. The biggest evidence of aliens on this planet is you and me. As Muslims, we always have believed that Adam alayhi salam was sent to earth. So nothing was there on earth, someone was sent to earth. So someone from outer space came to earth. Moment, you got it? Adam alayhi salam came from the heaven to earth. So he and all of us are alien to this planet. Alien means not from here. We are the biggest aliens because we came from somewhere else. So as soon as we find out that Adam alayhi salam was somewhere else, that means life is there in somewhere else as well. Okay? So if anybody says, you know what, Islam, you're talking about, tell me, you and I, we're all from somewhere else. That's what we believe. Okay? So if Adam alayhi salam came to this planet, that means he was somewhere else. And in the hadith, when Prophet went on the Miraj, where did he meet Adam alayhi salam? First heaven, not on this planet, right? First heaven, and then he went up above the first heaven to the second heaven. He met someone else. Who did he meet? Yes. And he went to the third heaven. Who did he meet? And then on the fourth, who did he meet? Idris alayhi salam. And then fifth and sixth and seventh. On the seventh heaven, he met Ibrahim alayhi salam. Seventh heaven. So there, life already there on 7 heavens, already there. Except for Isa alayhi salam, who is alive right now. He's the one who's going to come back. So he's not in some cloud, right? Yes, ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Saeed. I have 2 questions, which might sound silly, but I just wanted to ask.
Best of the questions are the silliest of them. Go on.
So, is there the theory of everything? And secondly...
yeah, it not only hints it, it literally says it. It literally says it. Think, which one could it be? When Adam alayhi salam was created, you know who challenged them? Who challenged Adam alayhi salam? All the angels with all their knowledge combined, okay? And most of them all, Iblis himself, who was the leader of them all. He said, with all of my might and all, he had just won the war, right? Iblis had just won the war. There was a war between angels and jinns before Adam alayhi salam, right before Adam alayhi salam. And Iblis had won, he was a jinn, but he was leading the angels. He was so pious. And with all the knowledge, because he knew all of those laws, right? He knows all of those physics and all of the mathematics and more. And when Adam alayhi salam was created, he said, this, look at me with all my knowledge, and this, you're going to give everything to this man, what can he do? And Allah says, I am going to teach him and he's going to learn, okay? And Allah taught him. What did Allah teach him? He said, that's the problem. Just like Ard is Ard. Ard became Ard. Asma al-Husna became names of things. I know. That's very unfortunate. So, assuming that I am a physicist and Daniel knows the dictionary. I know physics, you know dictionary. Who's going to survive for the next year in England? Oh, you just know the dictionary and I know physics. That dude doesn't even have a chance. He just knows the dictionary. You can't put 2 words together because that's not in the dictionary. Knowing the dictionary is not enough. And that's what we took out from Asma al-Husna. that Allah Azza wa Jal taught him everything, and which is called the code of everything. In other words, the greater equation, the theory of everything. So when Iblis saw that, that's when he went into his psychotic episode. Like, how did that happen? This man has not gone through all of whatever I'm going through for hundreds and hundreds of years. How could he know without going through the experience of all of it? That's the answer to your question, the greater equation, okay? Now, can you go through this? I believe we can. Not the topic of today, but we can, because I'm just trying to actually reintroduce the Quran to our kids, reintroduce to our mommies and daddies. Look at it differently. I got a 90-minute session. I'm not going to be able to, go through the intricate details and the fascination of the Quran, okay? However, redefine it. This is the only book we have. This is the biggest book. Allah Azza wa Jal says, but Prophet says, what Allah is to the creation, what Allah Azza wa Jal is to the creation, Quran is to the rest of the books. What Allah Azza wa Jal is to the creation, the Quran is to the rest of the books. You know what those books include? Physics and biology and mathematics and political science, English penal code, every book. What Allah Azza wa Jal is to the creation, Quran is to the books. This is how big this book is, and we're just, doing kalma, namaz, roza, zakat, hajj. We should do that. We should do that. That's if you're a Muslim. But this book has more than 6,500 verses, algorithms to the power of infinite when you combine all of this. And what did we take out of this? What did we take out of this? Tell me, of all the corpus of the Quran, with this momentum, we only took 5 ayahs out of this? Kalma, namaz, roza, zakat, hajj. The whole corpus, the whole magnitude and the momentum of the Quran could only give all 2 billion Muslims 5 things. Imagine how unfortunate we are. And imagine the responsibility on mothers, especially mothers. I'll tell you this right now, mommies, because in the first 7-8 years, the child is with you. Daddy's gone to work. At that time, the fascination inside the brain of a human child is set and locked. In the evening, I'll tell you how it works, how the brain locks itself. Once those locks are placed, nobody's gonna unlock them. So those boys sitting there, mommy, who's the mommy? Where's the mommy? Yeah, you are supposed to unlock and put the Quran in and let the magic happen. Most of the Muslims, 90+% of the Muslims, 2 billion, they will open every book except the Quran. You know why? Because we do not know what it's got. We do open all the books because we need the money. We need the job for the money. For the job, we need the degree. For the degree, we need the book. Yes? Sir.
There's a verse in Quran, فَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِرَبِّ الْمَشْعَارِقِ وَالْمَغَارِبِ إِنَّا لَقَادِرُونَ. So we only see one mashriq and one maghrib. There's another verse, رَبُّ الْمَشْرِقَيْنِ وَرَبُّ الْمَغْرِبَيْنِ.
You know the difference between mashariq and mashriqain?
So it's...
Can you hear me?
It's tasniya. It's like...
Tasniya and plural.
2 and mashariq is plural. Many.
Yeah. So that means there's more. Okay, there are 3 ways the scholars have described it, because it was such an obvious there. They couldn't have just overlooked it, right? So when they say 2 mashriqain in Surah Rahman, it's mashriqain, okay? And I'm talking about Ibn Kathir when I'm quoting they. He said, well, since the sun sets from a different place in the summer and then a different place in the winter, that actually creates 2 different mashariq. And then he says there's so many points between these 2 points, the solaces, okay? So 2 points, the 2 extremes. There's so many other points that the sun sets from or the rises from. That would mean mashariq and magharib. But I don't agree to that. Don't worry. Okay? I don't agree to that. When Allah says mashriq and Allah says maghrib, He's not talking about that guy sitting on planet Earth in England or Islamabad or wherever, right? Allah's talking about the universe. When Allah is going to say something about Himself, Rabbul Mashriqain, Rabbul Maghribain, He is not talking about some Lone Ranger walking down some aisle in Manchester. It is. It has to be. I mean, it's common sense. So when Allah is looking at the universe, you need to find a perspective that Allah is talking about Rabbul Mashriqain. So if we just confine Rabbul Mashriqain to Manchester's Maghrib and Manchester's, I'm not in Manchester, I'm London, right? Why should I say that? So the whole universe, we can see that it has multitude of directions. And it is not about the sun, which is only confined to our planet. Our mashriq is where we see the sun coming up. That's not because of the sun. You need to understand, our east is not because of the sun. Sun comes from the east. If sun came from the north, east would still be east, right? You need to understand. So it is not about the sun. As soon as we say Mashriq or Maghrib, all of a sudden people go into the sun. East has nothing to do with the sun, except that Earth revolves in such a way that sun happens to arise from the east. If sun rose from the west, I would have looked at east and still call it east, right? Like I call north, north. Sun doesn't rise from the north or the south. So it is a direction. It is not about the stars or summers or winters or whatever these, Ibn Kathir was talking about. So when we talk about direction, that means dimensions. Okay? In dimensions, we can plot directions. And as soon as we say Masharik, we mean 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11 dimensions, which gives us a very clear indication that this universe is more than 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dimensions. So in every dimension there are directions. And for every direction Allah says, wherever you're going to go, you're going to find Allah. Rabbul, in other words, find means Allah is sustaining them. Rabb means sustainer, okay, the nourisher. So in all directions you're going to find everything is being fed by Allah. Okay? So it's an ayah of multi-dimensional geometry of the whole universe. And what did we get out of it? Winter and summer. You see what I'm saying now? So it's not about the sun, it's about the dimensions.